We are now joined in studio by the one and only Kevin Buchanan. Bucky, what's going on?
Not much. How are you?
Good. Thanks for taking the time to come in.
Yeah, thanks for having me in.
So it's Boston Cannons week, so of course, got to ask you some Cannons questions.
Of course.
You're a vet. You've been in this league since 2008, back when you were out west in LA. So you've been around. You've had a lot of experiences. What were your general takeaways overall from this past season?
Yeah, obviously this past season's, in terms of a record standpoint, is not where we wanted to finish. I think we've got some good things in there. I think we got a good core. We started to switch things up more towards the second half of the season, and I think try to catch a stride a little bit as we push into the 2018 season. But I think we learned a lot about ourselves. You definitely learn a lot when you're going through adversity, rather than when you're just kind of on easy street, collecting wins week in and week out. So I think a lot of takeaways, and I think we're going to build on a lot of those coming in 2018.
Now, you've been with Boston since 2010, so you've been there for the highs and the lows that this franchise has had. So when you think ahead to next season, you mentioned you learned a lot about yourself. What did you learn in knowing what needs to be better going forward?
Yeah, I think number one thing, I think we need to have consistency. I think consistency kind of top down, and we definitely want to have consistency when it comes from a roster standpoint, week in, week out. For us, we need to find that nucleus. That nucleus has changed over the years. The players that I won back in 2011 with the championship, a lot of those are no longer around. And for us, I think we need to identify, who's those core group of guys that have certain attributes, and how do we want to build around them, and how do we want to put people and pieces to complement them and ultimately put us in a position to succeed.
Now, probably one of the peaks of your MLL career, 2011, winning the championship with Boston. That was Kevin Barney's first year as a GM with the franchise. Of course, this week news coming out that he's parting ways with the franchise. So what was your reaction to the news?
Yeah, obviously surprising, like anything. But looking kind of what happened in our season this past summer here in 2017, with Boston's high expectations of being a playoff championship caliber team year in and year out, it's going to happen, right? Changes are going to happen. KB has done so much for our organization. Obviously, a good friend of mine. I've bound around him for so long, and I thank him for everything he contributed to the Boston Cannons, and wish him the best in the future.
Now, I know a lot of your teammates have had some injuries going into the off season. I know Joe Nardella is dealing with it, Matt Landis. What about you? How's your body feeling in this off season?
Yeah, my body's feeling okay. I've had some issues myself here and there. My knee's a little banged up, but minor surgery in this past couple weeks ago. But for the most part, I'm looking forward to be ready and healthy for 2018 season. I just got to make sure that I'm doing my strength and conditioning, going through my routine, and making sure my body's at peak.
So when you look ahead to next season, being at that peak, where do you see yourself playing? You like being more in the midfield, or we saw you get some run in the attack as well?
Yeah, I think depending on the team and depending on the mold of what they need me to do, I like both. I've played both for really my whole entire career. Even at Ohio State, I played both. I obviously focus much more from a box standpoint up forward and being close to that kind of that attack mindset. But I think it really just, how do I gel with that team that year, the personnel, the players that we have in place, and whatever I need to do to help the team be successful.
So now you are, of course, a veteran of this team, a leader of this team. Going through the season, when all of a sudden you guys trade Will Manny, you trade Joe LoCascio, that was a really tough part for you. How were you and the other leaders, captains of this team, able to kind of rally this group, even though it was a really tough road after that?
Yeah, obviously that's a large decision. Will's been a key guy for us for years, and Joe, obviously an outstanding player. For us, sometimes, we're not privy to information or why decisions are taking place, and we got to focus on what's in our control and what we can control. And I think that was the message in the locker room. Let's make sure that we're focusing on ourselves, making sure that you're doing your job, making sure that we're focusing on the weekend ahead and the task at hand, winning this game, and then moving on to the next.
So you mentioned the locker room. If you don't know, he's a really high-energy guy. A lot of energy comes out of him. Who's the guy kind of like lifting everyone's spirits, whether it's dancing or whatever? Is it you, Hawkins, Davey?
Davey's got a lot of energy. I think Davey, Hawk's got his energy too, his flair, but I think Davey, he takes a cake. He's I think he outbeats me sometimes.
Yeah, so when I think about energy, I also think about your two kids. I mean, they are so fun to watch on the field after games, and your wife, Jennifer, a part of that as well. She's so strong. I mean, I think of her as a total badass. So
Yeah.
for you, when you're at home games, what does it mean to look over at the sideline and see those three watching?
I mean, it's awesome. I mean, I think that is a goal of mine, and I hope my oldest son, Hovey, hopefully I can log a couple more years so that he gets to the point that he really does remember rather than having to look at a picture to me playing and him coming on the field. But I think sometimes she might be working harder at the game than I am as she chases him around on the sideline 24/7. But yeah, what a special moment for me, and I'm so glad I'm obviously part of the Boston community, and we're here local, and we can pretty much share that every Saturday.
Yeah, so for the Cannons fans, if you're at a game and you're watching and there's a young kid running around the field after with a helmet and a stick, it's his oldest son, Hovey. So how do you balance everything with playing in the NLL, also playing with the Black Wolves, playing with the Cannons? You have another job and you have two kids. How do you really find time for everything?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I don't have much time in my schedule. It's definitely back to back to back. You know, I'm definitely coming down the mountain here when it comes in terms of playing. I think this past season was my 10th season in the MLL, and I skipped 1 or 2 seasons in indoors from about 8 or 9 there. But yeah, it takes time, and I'm just the most difficult thing is definitely keeping in shape. You know, during the week, making sure that I'm getting my lifting in, I'm getting my conditioning in, so that when I come on those weekends, I'm ready to go. Because this is very much a self-maintenance league, right? We're not around that team. We're not around that everyone, all the guys that are kind of just motivating you and pushing you. It's sometimes those long days. It's tough. You got to make sure that you push yourself and motivate yourself to get into the gym, to get on the road and hit those runs and hit those sprints in. I think that's probably the toughest thing as I get more and more deeper into my career. But I find ways. I find time.
Well, anyone who knows you is a fan of you, so we thank you for taking the time to come in. Please tell your family we said hello.
Absolutely, will do.